We're going to keep it going to the second part of our show. But if you need to drop off, completely understand. We're just going to talk about what's been happening with crypto and NFTs. But again, it's been a pleasure having you guys here.
Cool. Oh, wow. Claps as well. I'm going to drop off, but I do tune in regularly to these shows because I do enjoy listening to them. So yeah, I'll look forward to the next one.
Thanks, Blue. Yeah, and shout out to whoever the intern is behind the Trader Joe account. Make sure to give them a follow. Funny memes, if you like a good laugh. So make sure to give them a follow. But yeah, thanks everybody for.
That's me, by the way.
That's you. Oh, sorry. Look at you, Blue. Yeah, you're funny.
Right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, yeah, shout out to all the interns that, were working overtime last weekend on Threads, RIP Threads. But yeah, hopefully you guys get your weekend back and, just can come back and focus on Twitter.
Wait, is Threads dead? Did we finalize that?
People are coming back in droves, man. Elon's throwing out those dollars, so
Thank
everybody's
God.
on their train back into
Throw the
Twitter.
tombstone
We knew
down.
it would happen.
I tried for like 2 seconds and I was like, this sucks. Then I left.
Yeah, I did. I did see a tweet this morning. Thread daily users down 20% from Saturday, and user time spent down 50%. So yeah, that's a quick update on Threads. Yeah. But I do see Grunge. I see you have your hand up. I'm sorry, but I did want to be respectful of the team's time. So hopefully your question is for us and not for the team.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was not a question for the team, and I don't know if this is allowed since you've now shifted gears, but I didn't hear them mention the fact that if you join their Discord, they actually have a series of quests that you can do that will walk you through doing LP provision. It is a really great resource if you want to get into providing liquidity into pools where you set ranges and everything else. So it Sherpas you through the entire process, and then it rewards you, and there's NFTs and all kinds of stuff. So I didn't hear her mention that, but I wanted to put that out there. Like, join their Discord, do those quests, learn how to do liquidity provision. It is a really, really great project. It's a really good Discord. It's a great learning resource. So that was all I wanted to bring up. Oh, and hi, Brooke. That's why I jumped in, because she was in here.
I'm back. What's up, Grunge?
That's awesome, Grunge. I feel like they put a lot of emphasis between the users, between the average, trying to get their finances in order and explore different options and full DeFi and non-custodial to custodial. So that's awesome that you placed that emphasis, because I feel like there's a huge importance in how they structured how they laid their project out. So that's awesome that you added that in. Thank you for that.
Yeah, great points, guys. Great points. But yeah, make sure to go and play it back if you didn't hear it. But let's go and kick it off. If you guys have been hiding under a rock, obviously the sentiment on crypto Twitter has changed since 2 weeks ago when we were all moping in this room. We are back. I do see our friend Johnny is here. Let's kick it off. I'd love for you, Johnny, to chime in on the XRP developments. And again, if I'm quoting this incorrectly, please correct me, but it sounds like a US judge ruled that XRP is not a security, which sent the market into parabolic mode yesterday. Johnny, what is your take on what's going on with XRP?
Well, overall, it's, I don't want to be a wet blanket. I'm going to say it's good news. It's good to get a solid court ruling in favor of crypto. It wasn't all good, but it also created some clarity. So the good part is, like, tokens aren't necessarily security. However, institutional sales of XRP were securities offerings. Like, so they can be a security, which we always kind of knew. And so, you know, they will be paying a fine for their institutional sales. But that's not the, you know, that would be, the SEC came out with this big statement. It was like, look, we were right. We blah, blah, blah. But they really buried the lead because the court really paved the way for the existing framework to provide a pathway to issue tokens that aren't securities, which is positive. We always kind of knew that, but we have good support. Coinbase is holding a space later that they're going to talk about this. I'm sure that'll be really interesting. There's implications in the Coinbase case here. So the SEC really had two losses. The judge in the library case clarified what he did not rule. And what's interesting about that is it was related to like secondary sales and things like that. The SEC represented to the court in Coinbase that the library judge has said this, this, and this. Well, the library judge kind of came out and said, I'm not saying this and I'm not saying this. That kind of was a little egg on the face. And then literally a couple of days later, they lose this big point on the XRP. So the SEC is kind of getting pummeled right now. Yeah, and Coinbase is going to make a lot of hay with this. And then as you saw, they relisted XRP, and I think Kraken did as well. So it's really, they have some momentum. However, you know, this is just like the library case is just one court, one judge, and one district. This is just one court and one judge and one district, right? It's a victory, but we could see it go up on appeal. But I'm just going to relish in it and enjoy the moment. It was great vibes yesterday. I definitely longed some things because it could only go up, right?
Up only. No, just
Hey,
kidding.
Johnny. Sorry, Jess. Hey, Johnny, quick question for you with regards to the relisting on the different exchanges, Coinbase obviously being one of them. Do you see them having to walk that back for any reason, or do you think it was a quick jump to relist right away? I was curious
I
about
think that was obviously they've obviously thought this through. I would think. I think they were just piling on the whole celebration day rule. I mean, I thought that was really hasty because you could get another ruling in a year and a half. They'll have to take it off again. It seemed very weird. In the next year and a half, though, by the time this hits appeal, there's a really important argument being made in the Coinbase case called the major questions doctrine, where essentially they're saying the issue of whether or not these tokens are securities is not within the purview of the SEC. Really, they should be getting direction from Congress on this. And Congress is gonna probably have something within the next year and a half. So if the XRP case goes up on appeal, it will probably be mooted which means it just doesn't matter anymore. The same framework doesn't apply. There's new rules. So the court cases, I think, are going to start becoming less relevant as the Congress gets closer to crossing the finish line on a meaningful framework. And there are some actually good frameworks in the pipeline currently. So hopefully we can shift away from the courts and into actual policy, because the court stuff, it's just so speculative. It's just patchwork because each court has different rulings. Each circuits have different rulings. It's creating nightmares for attorneys because they don't know what to, if you look at this case, okay, maybe we could do this. They're just trying to guess what the SEC's got in mind, right? Imagine if you're advising a protocol on how to launch a token. It's like, what do you even do? What can you even say, right? So overall positive, exciting, but I think we'll see Congress start creating more of the rules, which will be great.
Great.
Yeah, I was excited. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, Tammy. And then we'll throw it over to Deb.
To Deb. I was just excited too when I saw that, and then with the relisting so fast, because earlier in the year they had moved it completely. If you had it in your Coinbase wallet, you had to move it completely off. So I remember having to do that for Dave because, his was there. So we had to move it completely. But yeah, so we'll see where this goes. But I appreciate the insight on that. Go ahead, Dow.
Yeah, I'm glad they did, and we all know why. This was a middle finger to Gary Gensler, man. As soon as he got the decision, hey Gary, watch this. We're back. What you gonna do about that? So I'm happy that they did that. So obviously I'm not a lawyer, but just to make things simple, right? My understanding, I think it was a lawyer that actually said something along those lines, right? I'm paraphrasing when he went in front of Congress, right? The idea was that based on the Howey test, right? And this question is to you, Johnny, right? I don't know if you can like respond directly to that, but it sounds like the understanding is that the asset itself is not a security until there is a contractual promise, an investment contract attached to it. And so what the judge in this case you said basically is that in some cases, yes, when there's a contractual promise, especially when you're dealing with institution, there's usually some kind of contractual, explanation of what you expect to get from this dispersions, right? But when it comes to secondary sales, in most activity in crypto, we're just trading asset without the promise. Is that I know it's not technically accurate, but is that a fair simplification of what's going on?
That's pretty good. Like the institutional sales were investment contracts, not necessarily because of the tokens, or not even necessarily because they were used to raise money, if I'm understanding it right. But they came with lockup periods and things like that were kind of like hey, we know we're giving you this just so you can sell it. Like you're looking to speculate on it. So we're going to give you a lockup period so that you can't do that for a year. And I think that signaled to the court that this was an investment for those people purchasing those tokens, right? This is an investment contract, and really getting into the language as to the rules around, if you're buying that initial issuance, what are the stipulations? And that's what's important, because if you can't sell it for, you can sell it right away if you want, versus you have to wait a year and a half, or the vesting thing I think is going to be important. And then is there a use for it when you initially issue it other than just pure speculation? So that the language around the transfer of the initial institutional sales is still at issue, right? But in this case, the judge was like, it looks like it was solely to resell or otherwise distribute, and so this looks like a speculative investment. So a little more clarity, and a good thing, both in determining what is a security and what is determining what is not a security out of this. But again, this is one district court, right? And it's been a saga, but it could go up on appeal, and there are a lot of other district courts that may or may not give this any credence.
Great points and great questions. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw Hector on the timeline saying that crypto Twitter doesn't know how to read or something like that we misunderstood what the ruling was. But I did invite a couple of people up. I do want to get through them, and then I'll get through the hands. Death, welcome. How are you doing? You've been through us calling you XRP conspiracy theories, and you guys made it to the other side. How does it feel to have this redemption of what has happened?
Well, thank you for having me up, Jess, and GM to everyone, Tammy and Dow, and yourself. It's definitely a very nice ruling for us as far as the community goes, and those who maybe want to be able to build as a dev on the network. Because the biggest thing that we got is that the judge sees that the secondary sales are not securities, and so this was something that was really held up in this court case for the last almost 3 years. But just like Johnny said, I don't think this is necessarily out of the woods by any means. There could possibly be an appeals, and Ripple themselves will most likely have to pay some sort of fine for the contracts that they did create in the early days. But nonetheless, it's a huge win for the community for sure.
Yeah, and just even the interest. I was in 2 prominent NFT spaces, and they're like, what is XRP? Do they have NFTs over there? Like, I've never heard of XRP before. So just the fact that it's bringing eyeballs to the XRP community, like, shout out to y'all. I still think some of you guys are crazy with the whole 589 thing, but hey, at this point, I'm not throwing anything out the door. So go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, no, and I don't personally believe in any of that completely nonsensical things that are spoken about in the community sometimes with the price appreciation concepts. However, the technology itself is something I do believe to be very technologically advanced and capable of doing a lot of help in our society. So I really look forward to people hopefully coming and building on it.
Great point. Yeah, congrats to you and the community. You guys stuck around all the FUD. I think everybody in crypto was excited except for the Bitcoin maxis were seething because they thought this was their shot, that everything that was in Bitcoin was going to be called a security and it was going to be Bitcoin only. So to see that max pain on the timeline was awesome. But let me kick it over to Erica. Erica, welcome. Good morning.
Hello, GM. Happy Friday. Thanks for having me up.
What's going on, fam?
Good morning.
Well, good morning. Nice to talk to you guys again and come up here. I have some gaming news, some little tidbits if you'd like to hear them.
Let's do it.
Yeah, a couple of exciting things have happened lately. One thing that like some people may have missed that I thought was like really good news and big news for the space. Like in the beginning of July, the co-founder and executive chairman of Animoca Brands, Yatsu, he actually got appointed to the task force for Web3 development in Hong Kong. And so I thought that was really great. Yatsu is like, he is such an innovative leader and he is always, featured at conventions and he's always on these like massive stages. And so I think that Hong Kong is, they did a really great thing by appointing him to that task force. So I don't know if anybody saw that or not, but I thought that was really exciting. And then just like real quick, Activision or Microsoft is actually on track to buy Activision, and which includes Blizzard. So that's like the Call of Duty franchise, World of Warcraft, and then a bunch of other games. So they were actually blocked from purchasing them. So they had to go to court and everything like that. But then a judge ruled actually that they can go ahead with that. So that's pretty exciting. That'll be big. And then let me see, there were a couple other things. Big one is Google Play changes their policy on tokenized digital assets, allowing NFTs in apps and games. So that is huge. That just got announced 2 days ago. So that is big. So if you have, I don't know why you would, but if you have an Android, you'll be able to play games with the NFTs in them. So I don't know if that makes anybody more bullish on Androids or not, but I mean, it's a win for the space. So it's all good. And then one last thing, like it's not really with gaming, but kind of because Polygon does a lot with gaming, but okay, so Polygon has Starbucks, they have Reddit, and now they have 7-Eleven under their belt. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, and I like that like flew under my radar, and I was like, whoa, what the frick? That's huge.
Oh yeah, weren't they giving away like
7-Eleven.
NFTs for like a Slurpee if you got a Slurpee or
Yes.
something like that?
On their free Slurpee day. Yep. They were
on
giving
7-Eleven.
NFTs.
Yeah, so those are the things that I thought were super exciting in the gaming space recently, and yeah, I pretty bullish on everything.
Love it, love it. Thanks for coming up and sharing the alpha. Hope you're having a great Friday, and yeah, always good to see you here. I'm going to throw it over to Brad, the other person I invited up, and then we'll go to the hands. Brad, what's going on, fam?
GM fam, just hanging here, trying to. I'm kind of crawling ENS vision right now, looking at all the things people are letting expire and let go, and seeing if there's anything worthwhile. And to be honest, there's nothing. So then I hit OpenSea to see if there was anything worth pulling the trigger on, and there's nothing. And so I'm just kind of hanging, waiting to see. I'm just gonna hold my crypto is what I'm gonna do right now. I really want to buy some NFTs, but like realistically, I'm probably just gonna hold my crypto. And so I'm just fighting myself today. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. It's a great day. Great week. Can't complain. Are you Are you into XRP? Any comments or thoughts about the whole XRP situation?
I mean, yeah, I'm bullish for it. I'm waiting for the whole XRP army to start crawling out of the woodwork with the "I told you so" posts, and and start bombing spaces again and talking about lizard people and how they're secretly running the XRP, and all these other the XRP people. They're good people, but some of them I feel are a little confused. I hold XRP. I forgot I held XRP until all that shit happened, because I was like, oh shit. I was like, it's not a security. I was like, I wonder what I even have. And so I opened up my Zum wallet. I don't know, I've got like $150 in XRP sitting there. I was like, oh shit. All right, cool. Well, I mean, let it ride, right? Fuck it. Let's see what happens. Maybe the XRP army is correct, and that'll turn into like $5,000 or some shit. Like, we'll see.
Yeah, hi guys. Brad, I was the same way yesterday and was like, oh, I think I've got some in Uphold. And then went and realized I couldn't get into Uphold, and then found like the emails that they were sending me last December to like, I don't even know, like verify my TIN number or something. And so they closed the account and there's XRP in it. So yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, Uphold wanted full KYC, didn't they? I feel like at one point, like
I just didn't even like realize it because I'd had it so long that I didn't even see the emails. Like, why would I, do that on that? So yeah, that sucked.
That shows the conviction you guys had. You treating XRP like a shitcoin, just laying around everywhere.
True.
It's the
What's
redheaded
wrong with
stepchild
us?
just hanging out. It's like, don't look at it, don't touch it. Dave was that way too. I mean, he got into XRP before they took it down off of Coinbase, so he's been in it a long time. And I was like, you need to check that. He's like, oh yeah, I was the one that moved it. So I feel you.
Yeah, everybody go look for your XRP. But yeah, let's get through these hands. Grunge, then Nico, then Hodler. What's up, Grunge?
I was just fascinated by the impact of that statement about the court case, like what it had on the market at large. I was actually doing some wacky degen on about 3 different positions at the time when it hit, and it was fascinating to see the momentum just slow down and people started exiting their positions. I assumed to start moving money into all the altcoins and everything else that was suddenly now not a security. So people are like, well, why am I messing with this stuff? Which is basically just, we're just gambling in a casino when I could go grab some stuff that has some real technology and value behind it. And now that looks like an all clear signal to me. So it was magical, really, just watching all of my bags on the traditional like tech backed tokens and coins on the ones that actually have a network and they're used for gas and all that stuff going up, and just sitting back and looking in awe. And then the move made by Coinbase where they just stared Gary Gensler down, like if you saw that movie Black Snake Moan, where he's wearing the wife beater, he looks all crazy, and he's just staring with his eyes all bugged out. Now, that was kind of what I imagined the CEO of Coinbase doing when he relisted, just staring in his wife beater, just with a fuck around find out expression on his face.
Yeah, it was definitely max euphoria yesterday. Bitcoin actually hit the 2023 all-time high, touching 31,686. So yeah, so RIP to the bears who have been bearish since 19K just a couple months ago, and they're still bearish. I don't get it, but we'll see. Long-term bullish here. But Nico, what's going on? Happy Friday.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's doing good. I came here. Look, I'm bullish to a certain extent. I don't think we're gonna go to all-time highs, but all right. So now Bitcoin, it's not a security, and we'll keep it for. I'm gonna say this for DAO, right? So that's a legal standard, and now XRP is technically not a security. That's a legal standard, right? So where does that put Ethereum? Because there's like a contract there with the staking. I'm not like, what's going on, Dow? Like, are we gonna end up having to put our Ethereum on the side, like everybody's doing with the XRP?
Johnny, go for it, man. You want to say
Here's the
something?
thing. Here's the thing with Ethereum. There's something called the statute of limitations for the SEC, and if they have to, and it applies to a lot of different laws, like, if let's say I punched someone 15 years ago, they have to sue me within, like, depending on what state they're in, within the statute of limitations. They can't wait for 15 years. They'd be like, surprise, I'm suing you now, right? And the same goes for securities actions. I don't know at the top of my head. It might be 6 years, but a lot of attorneys, securities attorneys, are speculating that the reason we're not seeing anything on Ethereum is that they waited too long. And they really can't. And the Ethereum would have a really strong statute limitation argument. So really, it's not these stupid conversations about whether or not it's security or not. It doesn't matter because there's going to be no enforcement. It's kind of grandfathered in.
Yeah, but they just changed it to proof of stake. That's the thing. Like, they haven't
Doesn't matter. It's
decided
about
on what proof of
it's
stake
about
is.
yeah. You could make a different argument there, but what really got focused is, and you hear Hector say it all the time, the initial issuance.
Let Hector up.
Oh, I don't want to talk to Hector. Is he here? God damn it. I gotta go. I'm going to do a
Hector's here? Oh, damn. The Grinch is here. But real quick, Nico, like, I don't know anything about the legal aspect of it. I just think of it from first principle point of view is, can I actually point to a group of actors who are responsible for the success of Ethereum? And at the beginning, yeah, maybe the first 6 months, the first couple of years, the answer was yes. But as of right now, honestly, there's no way you can point to the Ethereum Foundation and say, well, that's the reason why people are in Ethereum, right? Like, they're just as likely to be there because of Uniswap. They're just as likely to be there because of Arbitrum or ZK Sync or all these different actors. So by the time you round up the people, the quote unquote, a common enterprise, I know that what I'm saying is not legal advice, right? I'm just looking at it from like a thinking person, right? I can't point to one entity. There's too many people. So, in my opinion, if it's decentralized enough, like, good luck trying to regulate it and say it's a security. If United States goes that route, then other countries are going to say that makes zero sense. This is like a network where different people are adding value at different edges. I think the real question now is how the United States creates a process by which other chains can also be deemed clearly, legally, right, not a security. Like, Solana should have the same fair chance to do the same thing. Cardano or whoever should have the same ability or chance to do the same thing and get that same status.
Great points. Great points. Hodler, what's going on, Hodler?
Happy Friday, everybody.
TGIF.
Tammy, Dow, Brooke, Johnny, Death, Nico, everybody. Gang's all here. Yes,
we're back. Everybody's back. Everybody came out from the attic is back.
I think Dow, actually, you dropped some legal alpha there, friend. Even with all your disclaimers, and I'm not going to give any legal advice here either. Johnny's kind of covered most of the waterfront very, very well, and Death made great points about the secondary sales. But I just want to kind of quick comment on ICOs, and I think it kind of relates to what Dow was just saying about common enterprise. I think, something in that ruling and different analysis of it, when I look at it, it's whether or not, well, one of the things they'll look at is, does the initial coin offering, or any offering, I guess, really, but certainly ICOs, when you think about the institutional sales in this particular case, are those sales being used to build the infrastructure of a common enterprise? And by infrastructure, that could be very broad. It doesn't have to be just the chain. It could be the buildings. It could be the marketing team. It could be whatever, right? But in that case, the court's like, that sounds like a security. It sounds like you're investing in a company, like it's a stock. And then you think about, compare that, contrast that to us as retail and people. We're out here, Brian, on secondary markets, right? Like when I buy XRP, on a certain exchange, I know I'm not buying a stock. It's pretty clear I'm not investing in what's happening in that Ripple. It's clear I'm buying a token that I think may have some value down the line. And I think that's an interesting way to think about it. And I think the SEC will glom onto that and try to, take that win and stick to that side. I think they'll lose on the secondary side going up, because it makes a lot of sense. If it's pretty clear I'm not investing in a company as an owner, then the SEC should stay the hell away, right? That's that's pretty simple to me. The one thing that's Johnny with Ethereum, I think you're probably right on statute of limitations. Of course, as you know, we don't want to get too deep into it, but there's a bunch of ways the statute of limitations in certain types of laws can be told, mean pause, time out. And the governments can argue that, for these reasons, really the 6 years didn't actually run, it paused in year whatever. So we can go back and look at the initial, but I don't know. I don't know that in this particular body of law. That just happens in many bodies of law where there's a tolling possibility of statute of limitations. But I think Ethereum, I think you're right. It's been too long. I mean, politically, it's just, and the other part of it is politically, right? If you sue now, I mean, that just looks really, really bad, and that does, and that matters a little bit, right? Because Congress has got to be all over them for being erratic. Anyway, I'm starting to get too far and too long, but big day for retail, big day for secondary sales. I think a lot of analysis will come down to what is a coin offering being used to build out infrastructure of a common enterprise. And so whether or not because think about Bitcoin, right? You could argue that all the miners are a common enterprise because we rely on them to keep the network secure, to validate all that kind of stuff, right? Now they don't have an organized, because under criminal law and conspiracy law, you don't have to know each other to be in a conspiracy or in a group. You can just kind of have actions. But at the same time, when it's so decentralized, as Dow and others were saying, because you have many actors here, you got node operators, you got exchanges, you got influence, you got just the market that's so big and diversified and decentralized. Then it seems to be pretty clear. So the idea is, how do you start? If you do it like Satoshi did, you're clear, right? Go start your chain and walk away, and that chain can live on. So anyway, it's just interesting times. Hopefully, number go up across the board for a lot of stuff.
Great points. Great take. Yeah. And I'm actually glad this whole XRP thing came out, because before the whole thing, there was that rumor or that news alert that Craig Wrightus Satoshi, I got sent that in my DMs and told to go cope harder because Craig Wrightus Satoshi. But yeah, let's say what's up to Sean. Sean, welcome. It looks like you're a first-time speaker here.
Yeah, how's it going? Good morning. I kind of wanted to touch on the EVM topic. I mean, I the whole statute of limitations is all well and good, but wouldn't you think that the chain itself would be covered under its initial white paper? I mean, our boy Vitalik, he started it based upon the fact that he lost an item in World of Warcraft and wanted to create something that was a supercomputer that stored data that was, unmutable. You couldn't take it away. The dream was to be what it is today, to have code that could run games and apps and have something that cannot be taken away. The whole token aspect and the contracts for creating money out of it kind of came unnaturally. I mean, it wasn't something that he looked at in the beginning and said, oh, I want this to be some type of a financial tool. It was, in fact, and still is, a supercomputer. It's the Ethereum virtual machine, which, when you think about that, what is a virtual machine? It's a computer within a computer. So, how can they argue that in court? Maybe Johnny can answer that question.
Here's the beautiful thing about yesterday's ruling is it puts another earplug in my ears. Like, we don't have to really have this conversation. There's no urgency to determine whether or not Ethereum is security. One, because it's been a long time, they're probably through the gate. Two, because we have a really good, like an argument you just made, to say that it's not. Three, the SEC is getting its ass kicked wherever it goes. Four, Congress is working on frameworks to obliterate whatever the existing framework is. We don't really need to have the conversation about whether or not Ethereum is security anymore. We just don't, because there's no practical real world impact of that decision anymore. We should have conversations about new issuances, new companies that want to issue tokens, and how they can do it to be compliant. But to have the conversation again about Ethereum being a security or not is irrelevant. Gladly, happily, we don't have to do it anymore, guys. We're free.
Oh, wait a minute. What if I want an engagement farm? Can I do that?
Yes, legally, that's.
I actually just wanted to mess with DAO. That's all I wanted to do. Like, personally, that was just the whole thing, because we like messing with each other. It was a cheap shot at DAO.
I thought you were gonna hit me up with the whole. I thought you were ETH Maxi. I had my tweet ready of me actually saying that what's the name again? One of those founders was saying that XRP was gonna go to $4. So I had my tweet ready to post to the nest if you're gonna hit me up with the ETH Maxi, but I was wrong on the intentions.
No.
Yeah, and to chime in on the XRP thing, just wanted to say that, it got relisted Coinbase, it got relisted on Kraken, Crypto.com, even Binance US, who's not even doing deposits, it's a crypto exchange, only relisted them. So that's wild to see the change so quickly. And shout out to Binance, who never delisted them, and shout out to Binance, they're celebrating 6 years today. So just wanted to plug that in really quick as well. But go ahead, Brett. I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, quick question for Johnny. Wondering your opinion here on if you think that this ruling for XRP will lead to essentially like a grandfather clause or something like that going forward in the SEC for all of these cryptos that exist currently versus like the new, altcoins and other, even not altcoins, even if there's major protocols that launch in the next 5-10 years, something like that. If there's going to be regulations that apply differently to them than the ones that are already grandfathered in.
No, the XRP ruling doesn't affect that really at all. And in fact, one of the other more negative rulings within the case, and it actually affects the Coinbase case as well, is the judge clarified that they don't have to give any warning or, if they did something that signaled to XRP that what they were doing was okay, doesn't matter. The Howey test doesn't care about what the SEC signaled or what they have or haven't done. Things are assessed as they are, within the four corners of the Howey test, right? And so that's an XRP one, another of the rulings that actually applies in Coinbase, because Coinbase, essentially, their whole argument, a big part of their argument is, hey, we thought it was okay because the SEC did this or they didn't do any action here, and the court said, well, in fact, that doesn't matter. The Howey test is the Howey test, so it won't create any kind of grander precedence on any respect, and especially related to, how the SEC behaved. I think, again, not to be a broken record, but let's start looking to Congress, and that's what's going to determine the future of crypto.
Hey, can I make a weird comment, Hodler here? I actually stayed in the Howey Mansion in Florida last January 2022. At the time, I'd already been talking about the Howey test in Spaces. I stayed in this mansion. I had no idea it was that same Howey up in north central Florida. It was just, and by the way, totally haunted. Pretty wild spot. Just a weird little in real life confluence with Twitter world.
Okay.
Great. Go ahead, Nico.
All right, because I wanted to say this before. It was actually the second part of what I wanted to talk about. Like, at least throw into this because of the XRP case. So XRP has something like, I think, 100 nodes. I don't remember exactly. but do you guys think it will set a precedent at least for how many nodes, like for decentralization? Like, my question with the Ethereum thing, oh, Johnny left. And look, Hector's here. Hector's laughing at what I'm saying. But, well, Hodler,
Hodler, you want to answer that?
Yeah. So in securities cases, in a lot of cases, courts are. I'm just speak from a court perspective. They're really hesitant to adopt a actual like number type of test. They're kind of look at totality of circumstances. They like that kind of a phrase better. So you might have only 10 nodes, but there might be bunch of other things that add up to decentralization. It's a good question, Nico. It's a very good question, but it certainly would be a point of evidence, right? So if there were 100 nodes, I would certainly argue like, oh, hey, that's how many they had over in the XRP case, and that's one of the badges, one of the elements of circumstances that make it decentralized. I think they put it under a totality test versus a specific number. But good question.
Great question.
I threw that number out of nowhere. I don't know how many nodes they actually have. So
no, I'm just saying any number. Wouldn't matter the number would be. For example, because for example, I worked in security cases related to drug companies, and for example, when drug companies were sitting on medical information, and then that they knew and didn't release it, and they were racking up stock gains, and so securities lawyers were arguing that if you had released that, the stock would have been a whole different story, right? And so whether or not they release it is based on when it becomes statistically significant. And you would think even a phrase like statistically significant, they didn't. Second Circuit, same course circuit this is in, did not put an actual number on it. They look at the totality type thing. So anyway, a little in the weeds, but just wanted to kind of share that broad point.
Great question. Great. Thanks, Hodler, for asking. I'd love to hear from the only person on crypto Twitter that is not happy about the XRP ruling. So welcome, Hector. How is the Coke going?
I ended up capitulating and bought at 79 cents, and now I'm down, so I'm calling the SEC. I'm on hold right now.
You're calling your buddy Gensler?
Yeah, I tweeted. I texted him, but he hasn't responded. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so I saw a couple of your tweets saying that crypto Twitter doesn't know how to read, or we don't know what we're talking about. So what is your opinion about the XRP ruling?
Yeah, so it's very interesting reading through it. One of the beginning is, let's see, finding out that depending on how you bought it or how you acquired XRP is more so important than the actual token itself. So all the investors who bought it in the beginning are subject to securities, but everyone who decided to buy it through an exchange programmatically is not a security, or programmatically in that certain condition only is not a security. But the secondary sales is still up for debate, and this ruling did not make a decision on secondary sales, so be aware of that. And also the thing within the programmatic sales is not so much the idea that it's a different thing, but also in the context of it being an economic reason, is because the judge cited that it was 1% or less than 1% of the total volume of XRP. Therefore, there's an economic reason as to why it doesn't matter. There's not a real economic impact. So then that leads to the question of so the majority of the XRP tokens that are created are securities, and you didn't answer the idea of secondary sales. So what are you doing here, Judge? You're telling me you only care about the less than 1% that were sold, and now the 99% that are being sold in secondary, you didn't care to make a judgment on that. So there's still a lot of open-ended questions here that were not resolved in this decision. And also,
but don't you think this is a positive thing for the space? Or you see, and again, your opinion, you're not a lawyer. We just heard from a lawyer. So let's put that disclaimer out. So are these people just delusional or what?
Yeah, 100%. I am not a lawyer. I
thought you were going to say 100% they're delusional. So.
But 100% they're delusional.
Oh, well, that was cool.
No, that was good.
Boo
that was
that
good
man.
setup,
Boo Boo that man.
That was a good setup. But yeah, you're gonna have an appeal process. Obviously, like the SEC is going to obviously appeal this and appeal and make them, I guess, decide on what the hell are you saying? Why are you stipulating this? Yes, I understand it's less than 1%, and you still have to realize Ripple is still on the hook for the vast majority of tokens that were sold. Like they were found to have sold over $700 million worth of illegal securities. Like, who's paying that? And so now you're going to have even more sell pressure from the XRP, which from Ripple, which owns about 60-70% of the entire supply still, and they continually, from people who are in the inside, say that the majority of way that Ripple generates its revenue is from the selling of the token. And so they even have a bigger reason as to why they need to continue selling it, price us up. They have a thing that they've just done. They need to deal with this. And then also, the court has even set up that they need to set up trial for Garlinghouse and see whether or not they were negligent in those sales. So that still hasn't been decided as well. And the thing even says that this is we're going to set up a trial to begin this process. I just don't know how itself is not. It's still a security in that sense, and it's still a very negative tone.
Wait, it's not a security.
No. Okay, so it is not. The thing is not, right? Like, the orange is not a security, but when you attempt to sell that security, or there's an expectation of gain from that security, like what Hodler had said earlier, like, I buy the token.
You're going, Hector. You're going around in circles.
No, because think about it. Like Hodler just said earlier, he's like, I'm not making.
No, you think about it, Hector. I think you're trying to think about it live for all others to hear it. Think about it through, and then give us back the answer.
I'm trying to address your arguments. I'm trying to remember your arguments. Hodler's argument earlier that I just remembered was that he said that we're not making a direct purchase into the company. Of course, you're not making a direct purchase into the company. When you go buy a Tesla stock, you're also not making a direct purchase into the company. You're buying it from another person, and that person is then.
Now, when I buy a Tesla stock, I am, sir. I am. Please, come on.
No, you're not.
When I buy a share of Tesla stock, I'm a stock owner. I get to come to the meetings. I get to vote. I'm an owner of the company.
Tesla does not receive revenue from that sale. That's the issue.
That doesn't matter. It
That's
doesn't matter.
Your argument. Your argument was that you make a direct.
No.
Purchase.
I didn't make. First
man,
of all, I didn't make an argument.
I
didn't make an argument. I made an observation of what the court said. It's not an argument. I think what Jess made a great point that I understand your point about. You're right about Ripple's still in trouble. Totally get it. But Ripple can go down. But this rule, half of the ruling is still very good for the retail buyer and holder and trader.
No, it's not.
And
secondary sales were not addressed.
Programmatic sales.
Yes, programmatic sales from Ripple to the initial programmatic sale. But these secondary sales that are occurring right now on Coinbase are not being addressed.
So why are all the exchanges listing it? Like, you know more than everybody, all these exchanges and all these lawyers.
Well, they have a financial incentive to do the opposite, of course. Someone's going to obviously be wrong. It's like saying, oh, you agree with the SEC, but you're disagreeing with the lawyers of Coinbase. Obviously, there's someone's wrong here, and I'm choosing a side. And my side is that Coinbase is still wrong because it's obviously not addressed here.
Can I ask you this, Hector? Because this is just, I've been curious about this. So where is your anger coming from? Like, where is this angst that you have, or anger? Like, is it to protect people out there from investing in this? Like, what is it that you're so angry about?
And or is it
the dopamine rush of just
he sold ETH in 2016?
Well, I'm saying these rules.
Are you trying to protect people?
Of course,
you're so passionate about this.
Yes,
is that what I'm just curious. No, I'm genuinely.
Yeah, and I understand that, and my little intention I literally am the guy who has no bags, like, at least in the moment, right? Like, we all did the casino thing. I'm not promoting it. Never promoting.
You have BSV, Matt.
I never once talk about that.
It's not that you don't
never
have
once. I hardly ever say anything to anyone about that. You guys are the ones that bring it up. I literally have never said this. So besides the point, right? Like, the reason is that majority of people always lose, right? And the majority of people in these cases, there's no disclosures, no understanding of what's going on. So these people are at the whim of the insiders. And so therefore that's what I find to be the biggest issue. And also secondarily to that is like, I create, I go through the law. I understand what's going on. Like, in my case, I've hired SEC attorneys to review business plans that we've had, and we've had to deal with that because we are not going to be subject to that or want to be part of that, right? We don't want to deal with fines or deal with possible criminal action, right? So, and I find that to be unfair. Like in the case that Harler says, like this is just a token, it doesn't matter. Like my exact example is that we created, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, created a virtual trading platform that had zero real money in the sense that you're not trading real money, but all you were doing is you were buying and selling, like think of Robinhood, buying and selling real time data of stocks, but with fake money. And at the end, you would get, depending on how good you did, your gameplay, you would get paid on the purchase of buying in.
All right,
Right?
Hector, really back
As I say, that
in.
and
I have no
that
idea what you're
itself,
talking
that
about.
itself by the SEC
It's
attorneys.
a sad story.
No, but no, listen. Doesn't matter
We
if no,
understand,
I don't care
Hector.
about the
Life is
sadness.
not
No,
fair.
I'm
But
trying to
real
draw
quick,
the idea
real
of
quick.
where it's a security. That action.
Okay, but hold on. Hold on for one quick second, then you can resume your conversation, right? But just to not lose people in the audience, right, or listening to us, right? Here's the context that I think we need to remember. Gary Gensler, when he was at MIT, said most of the tokens in crypto are not security. Then he becomes the chairman, and he says everything but Bitcoin is a security. Then someone asked him in Congress, is Ethereum a security or commodity? He can't answer. Then the judge provided some clarity because, to your point, Hector, it's not like we won the game or everything is over, right? But there's at least a bit more clarity in the sense that tokens by themselves are not necessarily a security. And I think that's what people should remember for what happened yesterday. To your point, there may be more complexity afterwards, how they're being sold. But what Gary Gensler seemed to be painting as a picture was that the whole space was just a bunch of securities. Inherently, the actual asset itself was a security. And it seems that the judge, you have to at least admit that. The judge is saying, no, it depends on how they were sold and what was the promise attached to those assets.
In only the narrow view of the programmatic sale, no secondary observation, and it was negative towards the institutional buyer. So yes, in your narrow view of the less than 1% of the total volume, when it was done in a programmatic blind fashion, that's what the judge ruled on, not the general consensus.
All right, Hector. All right.
I'm saying that's the truth. Like, how can you all write that?
No. I said, all right, we understand your point, but we got to get to some of these hands because we got your point. Everything's a security. XRP is a security. Okay, we got it. Like, okay. Lando, what's going on? Let's hear hopefully a different perspective, but who knows? What's up, Lando? What do you think about everything that's happening?
Hey, happy Friday. Just wanted to look at it from the political perspective, because I mean, XRP is almost like the old boys club. I mean, they're doing a lot of the CBDC stuff, a lot of the bank stuff, a lot of these the incumbents in the system are working with Ripple to try to facilitate their like WEF type world. So, I mean, do you feel that the political groundswell has shifted against the SEC and against certain parties, and with crypto almost becoming a talking point in the election cycle, they have to really get behind it, or they're going to basically lose a lot of the support of the younger voters? Do you think this political situation might have played an hand in maybe in the judge's assessment of the situation?
Interesting. Go ahead, Hodler.
I hope not, but we're all human, so it's possible.
They call XRP the banker's token, don't they? Go ahead, Lando.
Yeah, I mean, because they have so many different connections. I'm sure they were able to lobby to try to get as much as a favorable position as possible. I mean, to think them not to lobby for their case is like illogical, right? Based on the situation. And now you have all these big asset funds all piling in. It seems that everyone just started to pile into the positive crypto narrative, and you have Fink on mainstream media in like an hour ago saying Bitcoin is like crypto's the best asset, and it's good for ETFs. Like, it just seems that all these guys are all basically on the same team, and they're all like so bullish on crypto, and suddenly they get this ruling which clears the way for them to get their things approved faster. to get them to buy up all the coins faster. It just seems like it's a really coordinated effort being done.
Isn't that what everybody's been waiting for? Like, haven't people been yelling for years? We're waiting for institutions to come buy our bags, and now they're here.
Not like
I don't
this.
know.
This is gonna be capture. I mean, you don't want to build up something and then like crazy guy who's the richest guy in the town comes and just swipes everything up from under your feet.
Completely agree. No, yeah, great point. Great point. Anybody want to chime in? If not, I'll throw it over. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Brad.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, because I am gonna have to jump here in a couple of minutes, but I think it's 100% politically motivated here. Everyone's kind of like nobody's touching on the fact that so there's this thing called ISO 222, right? Some people may have heard of it, but it's essentially a framework that was set up for compliancy for banks to use different tokens or blockchain technology for interbank transfers. So when banks are moving money to each other versus like to the retail market, but like when banks are sending large amounts of money to each other, there's a very large interest in using blockchain technology for that. Ripple was one of the very first tokens to be essentially cleared for ISO 222 and has huge interest from HSBC, right? So I mean, I think there's 100% chance that there was some political motivation behind this judge's ruling. It's the same reason why I think that we saw Stellar go up yesterday too. Well, I mean, everything went up yesterday with the ruling, right? But I mean, Stellar is another one of those that's compliant with the ISO 200. So it's going to be really interesting to see when banks actually start using this and what their, I guess, favorite crypto will be to do these interbank transfers. But again, XRP was one of the first ones to be recognized by ISO 200.
Okay, point out. Go ahead, and then we'll throw it over to Nico, and we'll keep it moving to the next topic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I'll try to be really short because I think it could be something we could talk for hours and hours and hours, right? We don't, at least I don't have any evidence of what conversation people have in private, but I think what's important is you have different branches, right? You have the executive branch, you have the judicial branch, and the legislative branch, right? And there seems to be a lot of contention when it comes to crypto. When it comes to the White House and the SEC, it seems like there is this Operation Choke Point to slow down or stop the adoption of crypto. Well, when it comes to Congress, right now Congress is Republican, right? And so there's a pushback. And in my opinion, I think we can trace it back to lobbying and who actually contributes to the campaign of said congressman or the campaign of said presidential candidate, right? And in the case of the judge, in my opinion, I actually think they have a certain independence where they can actually make a decision based on the facts. And so, in my opinion, I hope so. I don't know for a fact, but I hope so that this decision was actually one that's separated from politics. But when it comes to what we see from the White House, from the SEC, from other agencies, and sometimes as well from Congress, I think it's heavily political. And I would say in crypto, we tend to be a bit naive in the sense that we don't actually have those conversations about having a super PAC, having a lobbying force when it comes to defending cases like Library or even Ripple, right? Like we're happy for the decision of Ripple, but it was because they had the budget to defend themselves. It wasn't really because, let's be real, like any other project was coming to their defense and helping them. In my opinion, I think we should be more political and we lack a little bit of political IQ to understand that those battles are indeed political and they will continue to be so. We just happen to be lucky enough to have Larry Fink and other institutions jumping to the space, seeing a way for them to make money, and then kind of siding in terms of interest that in a weird way, the large big banks and financial institutions are now coming around and their interest is aligned with the further growth of crypto. But I think that could be a 5-hour conversation to really deep dive into where our interests align and where interests misalign. But I do think this question is on point. It is very political right now, the adoption of crypto.
Dow, just wanted to make a quick point. The judge basically gave both sides a win, basically.
Interesting take. That's a good take. Nico, any last comments on this topic before we get to the rest of the hands and move on?
All right, I'm gonna leave you with this conspiracy theory. Okay, what if the CIA created Ripple and this was all a show just to make it seem like they didn't, and now XRP is gonna create the CBDC for the entire world, and they're just gonna take over everything.
Well, it's not really a conspiracy theory because if you look on Ripple's website, that's one of their main business models is creating CBDCs for banks. So you're not far off, Nico.
So this is how they're gonna take control of us, though, of all the money, and they're gonna fuck us.
Great conspiracy. Naki? Sorry.
It's okay. It's Nachi. Yeah, like
Nachi. Sorry. Oops.
No, it's all good. I just was hearing about the discussion about politics in the justice system, and I really do believe that the ruling is impartial, and again, it is a win for both sides. We see a lot of crypto people celebrating, but it's I mean, the SEC has taken a lot of cases to the Supreme Court. They definitely plan on appealing, so this is going to be. We still have a long way to go for this. I think people just need to be acting responsibly and sticking to your investment thesis and being disciplined. These are the times where people start to act irrationally. And yeah, it's just really important. You're just trying to encourage people like, okay, keep a level head, stick to your strategies. And conspiracy theories, like it's so easy to fall into that rabbit hole. But I think, the same way as far as XRP, a part of me feels like the government really just wanted a deep dive into their operations, because you are right. They were planning on doing a lot with CBDs, and they're building their own ecosystem for that. So I feel like there was a bit of a strategic, that's my conspiracy theory I wanted to throw in there, is that I really believe they're like, oh, I want to learn about their tokenomics. I want to learn about, their management, everything like this. So maybe that's a little conspiracy theory I could throw in the hat for now.
We love a good conspiracy, and you can't rule out the conspiracies. Look at what's going on with the whole XRP army. Who knows which one of their conspiracies come true. But we do have Strange Loop up here. What's up, Strange Loop?
Hello. Hey guys, thanks for bringing me up. This is amazing room. So I'm a kind of a crypto podcaster and do some technical stuff on crypto. I would also say, let me be a little anti-conspiracy here, slightly bit. Might not be that much fun. We should also take this time to build the fundamental foundational stuff of crypto and get the riffraff away. What I mean by that is projects that have security in mind, projects that are real and they are not just marketing scams, and those sorts of projects. At least I try to do with my podcast, so there are blockchains out there that help you give more power to the people, like custody solutions. You can claw back your funds, you can do all sorts of interesting things with them. And so I think with all of this happening, the projects that have sustaining power will of course sustain, and it'll be I think is a nice time to be in crypto, to be in the space.
And it's a great time to be here. But thanks so much for coming up and sharing. I think it's all been great points on the XRP SC security ruling. Sorry, it's starting to get to noontime, lunchtime, where I get a little woozy. But speaking about projects, doing controversial projects, there was that project that had some controversy this week, Arkham Intelligence, which is the platform exchange that allows users to buy and sell information on blockchain wallet. So, for example, if you, it's basically paying people to like dox people's wallets. That's my understanding of it. And there was definitely a lot of controversy. Half a CT is like, oh, this is a good thing. You know, it'll wash out scammers. Other people are saying that having a token that incentivizes user might lead to some bad outcomes. So wanted to see, Brooke, I don't know if you're there. Any comments or thoughts about this?
Sorry, the wallet doxing, like the Arkham
Yeah,
stuff.
Arkham Exchange.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not surprised. I actually been following that account for a while, and just to like listen to, so I've a friend of mine, Seth, who's his account is called Mind Your Business, and we're constantly talking about privacy and all of this type of thing. And I think what people don't realize is like there's a bigger conversation here. Like this is how like women have been controlled in the past. Like this is a big deal. Like this is how control comes over crypto and blockchain. So I mean, I'm just blown away that it's even a thing and that the people are starting to use it. But again, like human greed and like human behavior is a fascinating thing. And even though people want something, right? Like their intentions are good. Like we want privacy, and you know, blockchain gives us all this great decentralization. There's still that like curiosity and like that piece of people's like human behavior and human motivation to be like, what is this? Let me look at, see what this person's doing. So I'm not surprised that some people are like,
people are nosy. People are
right,
nosy. If people
right.
would spend as much time on themselves as they focus on other people, they would get so much shit done.
Exactly.
But I guess the counterpoint that I've seen is that this is all public information and people are just, you know, looking it up and kind of aggregating it. So that's the counterpoint that I've seen on the timeline.
Right. It's like sort of we can already do this. This is just a new tool for it. So I don't know for me if it's like promoting it, like it's bringing, you know, more people. It's sort of telling people like it's okay to dox wallets and all of that. I don't know if it's just like sentiment or if it's the actual tool. But you know, yeah, I see all sides to it. It's just another way to bring up the security of things and the privacy of things. And you know, in my case and like Seth's case, it's just more ability to teach people about privacy and which things you can use like to get away from that kind of stuff. So because there's that like you can still protect yourself from having your wallet doxxed.
Great point.
Can I make
Tim? Yeah, let Tammy go and then you'll go right after Strange Loop.
I was just going to say when I was looking into it, and I was in a space that they were in yesterday. So my take on it is they're really kind of trying to promote and push somewhat of more of like a vigilantism maybe for individuals and incentivizing that. That's how I took the tool. So I think that when you read the counterpoints on it, the doxing of people is where, you know, people are really coming in and saying, I don't know if this is the best thing. I can understand and respect what they're trying to do, but on the other hand of it, it can be quite dangerous.
And it's like a bug bounty. So in the security world, everyone's like, yeah, but it's just, you know, it's like a bug bounty. And I wholeheartedly disagree.
I'm just going to play both sides. I'll go over to you. But how is this different than like sending a wallet to Zach? You know, he's just one person. You know what I mean? Like, how is that different? But go ahead, Strange Loop. Just wanted to throw that counterpoint out there.
Yeah, so let me give some context. So I've interviewed, folks who have privacy protecting hardware and software. So I do see both sides, what Tammy's point was and what point Brooke made. So both are brilliant points, and your point as well. The problem here is we don't know if these entities are just benign or they are malicious. So doxing somebody's wallets, like in what context, right? Like in what scenario? Like, are you just doxing them for just making normal transactions? Well, that's not good. But when something, say a bridge gets hacked and then you're tracing that, okay, that makes sense. So I wasn't clear when I read this news headlines as to the nuance around, like, reward is getting, they're giving rewards for doxing in what scenario? Like, is it when a hack happens or when it doesn't? Like, so I'm kind of not clear on that. And most of the time these entities, and I'm not saying this particular entity, uh they're just trying to propagate even more what's possible on blockchain analytics, right? Anybody can trace transactions, but now it's trying to incentivize people, which I don't know if is such a good idea or well thought out idea. Let's put it that way. Whether it's incentivized, like it's structured well, right? Like if for example, like there was an example in United States where a hospital, there's a old example in the history where there, one the government had a plan to incentivize hospitals, that they would pay them more if they took care of the special needs kids, and as opposed to normal kids, or as opposed to regular kids. So what ended up happening is there's one hospital where the doctor misclassified folks from one category to another just to earn an extra profit, right? So the incentives, if they get misaligned, then that's even a bigger issue. So I'm not too confident on this, and yeah, I'm not sure where I lie myself here, but I have to read more about it.
Great points. Great points. Let's kick it over to Grunge, and then we'll who hasn't spoken in a minute. What's up, Grunge?
There are no two sides. This is a project by clowns for clowns. All this does is weaponize data scrapers and incentivize people that are trying to dox people already. It's just nonsense. It flies in the very face of what crypto was created for. And what's going to happen is they're going to be beset by garbage in, garbage out. Like, it's already happening. People are just dumping nonsense into their databases. So the war's already lost. They lost. It's a shitty project. It's a shitty product.
To quick point to that, like ZK rollups and ZK snarks and zero knowledge proofs that are there, right? I mean, if some blockchain implements that, or like say Monero or some other chain implements that, then how would you dox? That's another question. Or like if there is some other privacy tools where it's hard to kind of trace, then their whole business model kind of fails too. So yeah, I agree with Grunch that it's seems to me smells of shite.
We'll see what happens. Lando and then Nico. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I would
Lando.
just add that, I mean, guys, we shouldn't be naive. I mean, this is already happening on a statewide level. There's like probably maybe 10 or 20 countries that are running, that are scraping up all the transactions and putting it in database so they can track. I mean, there's a reason why they have this fat F travel rule that's going to be implemented, where all the wallets will have to provide who's the sender, like ID information of who's the sender, who's the receiver, um, so they can do their anti-money laundering and anti-sanctions protection, whatever, whatnot. And so this is happening already, whether we acknowledge it or not. So for a private company to come and say they're going to try to make profit off it, okay, well, I mean, it's cringe and it's bad what they're doing, but governments are already doing this on like a national scale.
Now, to speak to the whole money laundering thing, I'm really tired of this fucking narrative. We've caught Deutsche Banks with their hands in the cookie jar. I'm sorry, Deutsche Bank, many times with their hands in the cookie jar, literally laundering money for cartels and pedophiles. So when people are laundering money, they're doing it with banks out in the open. They're not doing it with crypto. It's a bullshit narrative. It needs to die.
Yes, I agree, because guess what? Crypto is more traceable than cash. So that's the fact of the matter right now. Is you can when FBI knows, oh, you're using some blockchain, they already know that it could easily be traced. All your transaction history can easily be traced. So yeah, I agree with Lando and what Grunge was saying, that these so if let me give you some color to the history of surveillance in
Wait,
US.
no. We
Okay.
can't go into the
Okay.
history of
Okay.
surveillance.
Sorry.
No,
Okay.
sorry. We got to get through some of these hands and we got to keep it moving. Yes.
Just
Sure.
But
wanted to make a quick point on that, and I'll make it very quick. Basically, they're using it as an excuse to push their CBDC. I mean, like they're using most cash is the main thing used for laundering and all this bad stuff. It's cash. I mean, they didn't ban cash, but they want to ban crypto. It's just an excuse to clamp down and to push their control and push their narrative.
Well, cash is already in short amount, right? 90% of the money circulation is digital. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, government surveillance happens. NSA has pipes into all the big companies, all the big fives or the big sixes or whatever, and they are obliged. They have to comply by them. And in fact, Google and all those big companies have a separate government department where they cater to their requests for data, and so it's all hooked up in the back. So it doesn't really, as somebody pointed out, it doesn't really matter much at this point. But
yeah, the data is wait, yeah, let me go really quick. Yeah, I was going to say the data's already out there, and just to bring up something that came out this week, that SDNY announced a first ever criminal case that involved an attack on a smart contract. So how did they probably figure that out with information that's public on the blockchain? So just wanted to add that in. Go ahead, Nico.
So this is just a tool for us. That's like, all right. A lot of people have been saying we should regulate ourselves a little bit or whatever, but this is a tool that we can use, right? It's already out there. Everybody's saying it. Why can't we have the information as well? That's what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, I think that the problem is probably with the token incentive, right?
Probably, but all right. I'm not even doing this, but the point that I'm trying to make is, all right, they're giving a token incentive, but it also incentivizes people to regulate the space in a way, because look at how many rugs there are out there right now. It's like we have Dogecoin. I think, what are we at, 3.0 or 4.0 now? Like, seriously. And then like Pepe, I think, is at 3.0. Like, what's going on over here? So at least maybe like people, you can put a wording like when these tokens come out or something. I don't know, but what is going to be done in the future? But since the government already has this tool, opening the tool up for us is actually a good thing, so that we can use it as well. Like, I don't understand why it's such a. I understand the token incentive is bad, but I think it's a good thing overall, just because we're able to gather the information as well.
Well, yeah, we'll see. And again, I don't know too much about the structure of the company, but it sounds to me like they might be still like a centralized, entity that's controlling this information. But go ahead, Nachi, and then we'll keep it going.
So, I mean, there's a couple issues I see with this. One is, I mean, arguably, crypto Twitter is a huge weight on crypto as a whole evolving and accelerating, because it can be very toxic. There's a lot of bullying, and it's really, really hard to be a founder of a project or even to innovate in this space, because you're so much under a microscope, unlike any other industry out there. And when you fail, and if you've ever been an entrepreneur, you've ever really known an entrepreneur, they fail a lot. It's part of being an entrepreneur, is going out there, introducing an idea, seeing how it works, and whether or not it's going to work. And it sucks when things fail. There's a lot of time and energy that founders invest into developing these ideas and concepts, and then people, they act very irresponsibly. They invest more money than they can afford to lose. They get very, very angry and worked up when things don't work out how the founder or the founding team hopes. And how many times do we hear it was a rug pull or that guy's a scammer, when actually there was no negative nefarious intention by the team, but because we have this very toxic environment that is crypto Twitter, you have, and then of course people, if you're a builder and you're like, I don't want to build here, I could build anywhere and I'm not going to be labeled as someone who has bad intentions. And this is just another tool for people to be bullied, in my opinion, at least in the dynamic of incentivizing. But here's the second part of what I want to say with all of this, and it's very short. It's really comical that people feel like in 5 years there's not going to be an AI that could track down every single one of your wallets and figure out exactly who you are. Like, let's be honest. This is, if you think for a second that you're on crypto and you can't be, and they're not going to figure out who you are in the next 5 or 10 years, it's laughable. I mean, come on. Everybody is doxable on, especially if you're speaking on Spaces.
To your point, and even with ChatGPT, I did this when it first came out. I entered my ENS name and asked it to give it a summary of me as a trader, which was not a good experience. I had to go down memory lane. So yeah, I gave it sweeped my address, gave me a summary of things that I had bought in the past, and yeah. I'll see if I can find it and post it. But yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, and this was, I don't know if it's changed, but it was definitely when it first came out. ENS, you can put that in ChatGPT. So yeah, interesting stuff. But yeah, great point. Go ahead,
The
stranger.
only way to avoid this AI apocalypse or this AI doxing is when, say, decentralized identity comes about, or your metadata is not on chain, or any sort of activities that you do online is truly end-to-end encrypted, not that the government has a backdoor key to it. So there are some interesting primitives like homomorphic encryption, multi-party computation, that you can encrypt data and compute on the data while it's encrypted. You don't even have to decrypt it. So it's all about, then comes to how we manage our data hygiene. And but yeah, I mean, AI could just ingest all of that because most of people don't care, right? They don't want to go into depth of things and say, oh, I don't have time for this. I mean, I want convenience. So convenience triumphs security. Like you don't want to put 10 locks on your doors than put one lock, and and get
but
to
I
what
would,
you're
but
doing.
also strange. I would also admit that with AI, a lot of innovative and unique mixers or shrouding technology or whatnot will come up. So it's like fire, right? It can burn and it can cook your food. I guarantee you, AI is going to help some dev come up with something that'll keep us secured uh, for a long time.
Yeah, venom for that venom.
Great points. Great points. I do see Death is coming back. I know he went to a space where Brad Garlic, I always get his name wrong, Brad Garlic was in. Any update for us or any comments from Brad?
Brad Garlinghouse, yeah. Well, so he came on just to speak to the community for a couple minutes. It was really nice, just going over kind of the highlights for them as Ripple and where they see things going. And the biggest thing I took from it was the understanding that Bitcoin and XRP are technically the only two assets that we have some sort of judgment or clarity on in the United States at this moment.
Interesting take. And for those of you that don't know, Brad is the CEO of Ripple, not to be confused with XRP. So
He's one of the people just dumping it like crazy. I'm sorry, Death, but like this dump was crazy.
The price appreciation, I don't really pay attention typically to the price of the asset. It's not my concern. But it went up before the court decision summary judgment was even released, so somebody knew. And quite a lot of exchanges listed it quite quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, within like 10 minutes, the candle was up. So there definitely must have been some insider, some rumors, because it just didn't make any sense, right? Because it's not something you could have foreseen. All the, like, all the,
Well, I mean, there was some people were foreseeing this for like July, right? Doth, wasn't this like there was always rumors that there was going to be a decision made in July. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, people said every month, so I'm sure somebody said something somewhere. But regardless, that doesn't change the fact matter in at least the United States as far as clarity goes from a judge's decision, and at a judge in the second court in New York City, which is a pretty decent spot to be in for a ruling.
also just wanted to add, isn't that district more, what, doesn't it go towards a Democrat base or a Democrat side of the aisle?
Yeah, it's New York City, bro. I'm all the things. Yeah, but I was surprised myself because the district attorney, Letitia James for New York, she's so far against it, it's insane. So
she's the attorney general. What's interesting on the politics is look at Ripple's board as the former United States treasurer who signed the dollar bills and everything, right? On the board, and that was an Obama treasurer. He was on the board of Ripple now. So that's very interesting because it's really hard to sort of pit this as left v right in a traditional sense. Even though you got I think some members of Congress are kind of riding the Liberty train a little bit, and then they can get engaging, do a little engagement farming with crypto here. But I think eventually you look at the best bill out there. Most likely, anyway, is bipartisan. Gillibrand and Lummis. So anyway, just interesting.
well, but this was like a double this was like two Democrats against each other, though. You know, like she's so far against it, and then they're for it. You know what I mean? That's what surprised me.
But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot that we got to keep our eyes on in the next few weeks, especially with that bill that you're referring to. And I think Gensler is going to be testifying on the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that date. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see Gensler getting grilled on the stand. So definitely looking forward to that. Bring your popcorn. Because I know they're not going to play nice with him this time around. So we'll see. We'll see how that ends up. But moving along to other things happening in the space, I know Polygon did come out with a recent announcement. They're putting out a proposal for POL token, that's POL, to replace the existing MATIC token. There's also going to be some changes, I believe, in the validator structure and some other things. Dal, I know you're big on Polygon 2.0. Anything to add? Have you read about that proposal?
It's massive. They've been betting, and I think Nico is still there. I don't know if he's still around. Yeah, he's still here. This is massive, right? This was like a plan that they've been doing for, I want to say, the last couple of years of moving away from being a proof of stake chain to actually like being 100% layer 2. And they've been betting the bank on 5 different zero knowledge type of rollups. So if you're a MATIC holder, what that means is that instead of just getting value from the proof of stake, you'll be getting value from the entire ecosystem. And the cool thing about MATIC is they're really thinking ahead. Like they have different chains and different rollups, and they're going to wrap it up together into what I think is 4 different layers. They're going to have the execution layer, they're going to have the proof layer, computation layer, and then some other layer. And you don't necessarily need to know how everything works. The most important thing is that it'll be abstracted away from the end user as a staker, right? You'll benefit from all the different activities. So I've seen what MATIC team has done in the past. I would not bet against them. And I think what that means is that now we're going to hear a lot more about ZK rollups, a lot more about zero knowledge and why these matters, why they're technically superior than optimistic rollups. So yeah, I'm super excited for it because we've seen some growth when it comes to ZK Sync in terms of adoption, people playing around and expecting the airdrop. In the case of Matic, if we see adoption, it's not going to be because people want to get the airdrop. It's going to be because people see actual value to move this stuff away from the proof of stake chain backed by the Matic validators and then move on to the roll up ecosystem that is provided by Matic, but at the end of the day, backed by the Ethereum security budget. So I'm excited for it. I know a lot of it is going to be technical, but just wait to hear big project move on to Matic, the roll up, and no longer the proof of stake chain.
And I just wanted to add, from what I read, from a user perspective, if you hold Matic, you'll have to like swap or upgrade your token to POL if the proposal is passed. And there'll be ample time for you to do that. So it's not going to be an extra token. In my understanding, it's going to be a replacement of the existing Matic token. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Strangely. Oh, go ahead,
just
yeah.
real quick, it's a 1-to-1 replacement. So if you have X amount of Matic, you'll have X amount of POL, and you have 4 years to make that transfer. So you have plenty of time to make it happen.
4 years, wow, that's huge. Go ahead, Strangler.
And thank you, Jesse. So in the past I've interviewed Solana and some of other proof of stake chains for my podcast. With Polygon, they're India based and originally belong from India. I was wondering how many validators they have, and now it won't matter if they're moving to layer 2, but I am slightly how would I say, concerned about the level of centralization in Matic. That's my only concern because I had planned an interview with them long time, but then I kind of wanted to understand, like, does anybody can throw some light on like how these validators in Polygon work, and if there is a convergence to sort of centralization or like some sort of decentralization?
I can, but Lando, if you have your hand up, go for it. Then I'll go next.
Yeah, sorry, just wanted to say with the Matic Polygon 2.0, do you see how important is their Polygon ID? Because a Strange mentioned earlier regarding the way to protect against this AI stuff and the scraping and protecting us privacy is the ZK and the decentralized identity. And that's what basically Polygon 2.0 is basically doing. And they're really putting a lot of effort in this. Do you see that playing like an integral part in this 2.0?
Yeah. So I'll try to tackle both questions. The first, yeah, as of right now, the Matic or Polygon proof of stake chain is secured by a multisig. Right now, I don't remember exactly the actual term. I don't know if it's like there's 8 developers and it's 4 out of 8. But regardless, right, it's a multisig, so it's not great, right? Like the entire ecosystem of Matic is dependent on those actors being honest, right, and not running with the phones. So obviously they have no incentive to do so, but it's quite centralized to that extent. And then when it comes to validators, I don't have the numbers, but just look at the market cap of Ethereum versus the market cap of Matic, and just think that if you want to run a 51% attack against Matic, it's a lot less cheaper than the same attack against Ethereum, right? So there's also other consideration when it comes to centralization. Who is really creating value for the Matic layer, and I guess you could say that for the most part, a lot of it is from the core team, bringing a lot of partners from some Web2 world and traditional world. So I think that move from them to move from proof of stake, having their own chain, and then moving as a layer 2 and multiple layer 2s, right, that rely on Ethereum, that actually make their ecosystem way more decentralized. Obviously, there's still some centralization. People will point to, well, who sequence the transactions on those layer 2s, right? So there's still some questions around decentralization. But I would say if you had to pick, is it going to become less or more decentralized? I'd say there's a significant direction towards more decentralization, right? And that goes also to the point that you just mentioned, Lando, which is when you have ZKs, as far as I understand, maybe not every single ZK, but by default, you can implement privacy in your transactions. And so the thing that we take for granted in the space where, well, I found my wallet or my public key, everybody has access to the phones I have. On ZKs, you can implement things like account abstraction. You can implement things like privacy. So, in terms of creating an ID that you can then create, like properties, you can say, well, I want people to be able to know that I'm over 21 publicly, but not reveal my actual age. Or I want people to know that I have over six figures in my wallet, but not necessarily the amount of. You can have what they call you can create what they call attestations. So now when you have to deal with a DEX that is based in the United States and say, well, we need to know that you're actually based in the United States, you would be able to have a wallet that can verify that if it's on the ZKP. It can say, well, I'm within the United States, but you're not going to know exactly where, which state. So the concept of attestation is still new, but ZKs would or should provide that the ability for you to create an ID and then have the ability to manage which property you make public and how you verify your information on chain. So that's very powerful. Obviously, it's going to take years for this to happen, but that's the promise of ZKs.
Yeah, I'd also add that it's able to be done at scale. So even now, I mean, you could probably do a lot of this stuff, but it's probably slow and very expensive. But with the ZK EVMs and with the system that they're envisioning, and you get basically a lot of the good things with very low cost. So it's a low hanging fruit, and it does make the ecosystem almost a unified, secured, reputation wise, and shrouded if you want it to be.
Great points. Yeah, a lot going on. It's a huge, huge proposal for Polygon. So we'll see how that turns out. Keep an eye on it in case you have to upgrade your MATIC token. But speaking of MATIC and I'm sorry, Polygon and all these big brands, just wanted to add in here, Starbucks Odyssey program is actually is partnering up with somebody in the NFT space. So I don't know if you guys heard of AKU NFT. This was a very controversial NFT project who mistakenly locked up Ethereum funds in a contract a few months back. I'm going to try to find the number, but it was a few $1 million. But yeah, Starbucks Odyssey is partnering up with them. So if you have those.
What?
You don't remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
That was crazy. And they're partnering with them?
Yeah, they also got a time cover, so they must know some big people. Yeah, because I believe it was $30 million.
It was 30. It was one of the
30,
biggest
right?
dev mistakes I've ever seen, that the dev community's ever seen. Just wild. It wasn't something that really an audit could have caught, but it was something that was it was such a bizarre. Completely locked up 30 million.
And the devs do something, like, for
Can
real.
the devs do something?
Yeah, we'll see. In other news, Uniswap V3 launched on Avalanche. I know we had Trader Joe on here this morning. So, yeah, it's good. The competition is good. Let them keep building and creating better products for us. And then and back to our home topic, which was Threads versus Twitter. There was a Twitter airdrop this week. Threads is apparently dead now, and Twitter has formed XAI, which is supposed to understand, what is it? Trying to understand reality, I think is their slogan or some shit. There's going to be a Twitter space at 4 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to check it out, follow XAI to see what's going on. But yeah, how do you guys feel about what is everybody's thoughts this week, Twitter versus Threads? Because last week, everybody was ready to, Twitter was dead for the 10th time this year. Twitter was dead again. How do you guys feel this week about it?
I've been here and I remained here. I did get on Threads a little bit here and there. but I don't know. I just felt the energy was just different there. And I'm partial to Twitter. I think it's great that I've been seeing on my timeline people actually getting compensated for being content creators. I'm happy for people. Like I think that that was a win, and I just hope going forward people will continue to put out great content. I think it is going to bring some people in that are just, I mean, maybe just wanting to get the money. But there are content creators such as yourself, you know, all of you guys that create content, Dow, Brooke, Jess, everybody. And you guys do such a phenomenal job. And I just want to see people compensated for it. I think that's amazing. So I think it's funny when it came about. So you've got Threads that starts up, and then Elon wins, in my opinion, with throwing that out there. So I'm excited to see it, and I knew people would come back. I gave it 2 weeks, but they came back a little bit quicker. So you do see a lot of things on your timeline now. Oh, back at Twitter, I'm back. Yeah, we knew you'd be back, but we'll welcome you back with open arms. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm messing around with both. Whatever, you know, that's it. But you're right. There are a lot of people now. All of a sudden, they just came out of the woodworks.
But even before the Twitter quote unquote airdrop, just the fact with the whole XRP situation, we didn't even talk about Alex Mashinsky that got arrested yesterday. Like, yeah, everybody forgot about that. There's been so much drama this week, just with all the news. Like, the first place you're coming for the news is here, whether you love us or hate us. This is where the action is. And yeah, and I even made it on Threads. Like my content made it as content on Threads without me even having to be on there. So shout out to the threader that screenshotted my tweet and put it as content on Threads. Got a lot of engagement too. But yeah. Threads activity is down. I put that up there. We'll see what happens. Besides,
I mean, I have 1,000 followers and I literally did nothing. So am I Threads famous now?
You made it, Brooke.
Yes.
You made it, boo.
I mean, it's such a weird business model. Like, how do you say to people, like, look at our, increase in, like, they already had a customer base. Like, there was already a user base. So it's just like, here, tap this button. Like, no one had to make a conscious choice, like, whether we're going to do this or not. Like, social media is ridiculous. But yay for my 1,000 followers.
Yeah, I have an account over there. I've been posting just some AI stuff that I've had on my phone just to keep active. But yeah, I'll catch you guys over here on Twitter. Let's see what else. Anything else before we wrap it up? What else is going on? Let's see. Did I miss anything?
Well, the multi-chain thing that just came out that I've been trying to read, but I think we can probably go over it in a different space because it's a lot. Like, it's a lot.
Oh yeah, didn't like the CCP? Isn't the CCP involved or some shit like that?
He got arrested, and like then they're saying like all of the funds were actually controlled by this guy, but like now literally everything is in the hands of is it the CCP? Oh, multi-chain CEO was taken away by the Chinese police from his home and has been out of contact with the global multi-chain team ever since. I mean, it's a really long thread and people are talking about it, but it says that everything in his server account now belongs to the Chinese police. His computers, phones, hardware wallets, and mnemonic phrases were confiscated by the authorities. Since the inception of the project, all operational funds and investments from investors have been under his control. I don't know how to say his name. This also means that all the team's funds and access to the servers are with the dude and the police. So that sucks. I don't know why I'm laughing, because just what is this?
No, it's very strange. I mean, how do you get arrested? You're in a cell, but then you have access to all these different tools. I mean,
right?
It makes no sense, but it's a perfect rug pull excuse.
Yeah, it's strange.
I remember that rug pull in the Discord where they did the mint and the guy's like, now the founder is dead and now he's alive again. And now again, who wants to buy the project because now I've died? Like, it sounds like it's so ridiculous. And people that are outside crypto are laughing, like If we're laughing at it, they certainly are.
I think we hit a new low with that one, Brooke.
I mean, it's my first tweet, so, or, you know, like I retweeted it. So if you guys want to find it, it's just really bad.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, it's that multi-chain situation is getting crazy. That guy got arrested. Mashinsky is arrested. So a lot of things are a lot of news this week. And I don't know, with Gensler speaking and the stablecoin bill, I feel like next week is going to be another whirlwind in crypto and NFTs. Shit, I was going to say something and I
Hey
forgot.
Jess, there's a Coinbase Spaces at 1 p.m. Discuss the XRP ruling.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm supposed to be on a space with the Arkham Intelligence CEO, but it looks like that started early. But it would have been interesting to ask him some questions. Because from what I heard originally from Mario's space, it sounded like they do have it on their website that they do collect information. So people are asking, they're like, oh, but we're not going to do anything with it. So it's like on the trust me, bro, it's on the website, but we're not doing anything with it. Man, I forgot what else. There was something that I was going to bring up and I completely forgot it was important too. Shit. But yeah, so with that being said, I think we are going to start wrapping it up unless anybody has anything else that they want to chime in on, because I lost what my last point was. It was something important too. Shit. But yeah, Dow, what you got coming up this week? What's going on in farmers market? Are you traveling? Give us the rundown.
I am traveling. I'm in Brazil. I'm absolutely loving it. It's been 3 amazing weeks. Was in Rio de Janeiro, then Sao Paulo, and currently I'm in the area called Bahia, Salvador. It's a beach area. Great food. People are super friendly. It's actually where they shot one of those videos from Michael Jackson when he's like dancing in the favelas. Like, it's really fun place, historical capital of Brazil. So fun place. But yeah, we still did farmers market this week. We covered validators on ETH, and then we covered also LSD. So that what's formerly known as LSD, which was way cooler as a name, but people didn't like the D of derivatives, so we moved from LSD to LST to say liquid staking tokens. And then next week on Wednesday, we'll be talking about the VE33 model. So if you know about DEX and the different incentives that they have, that this model that was proposed by Andre Cronje, I don't know how to say his name, but it's basically a voted escrow, and it's been very successful. So if you know about Velodrome or Athena and a bunch of other DEX have used this model successfully. So we'll have like a bunch of different dexes to talk about the model, whether it's sustainable for long term, and yeah, just shoot the shit on farmers market Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Awesome. Love to see it. I'll definitely be there tuning in and checking out what's going on in the world of DeFi. Brooke, what's up with you? Anything coming up this week that you want to share?
You know, I'm just chilling. I did some reporting this week that got a little traction, and so I'm kind of following that story behind the scenes. And you know, I'm just researching for some grad school stuff, and I don't even know, like, just chilling. It's summer. I went paddleboarding. That is the biggest thing. Is everyone's complaining about how hot it is, and I'm like out here in the cold. Like, it is cold water, but it's such a lovely, like, getting outside and just no phones, off grid, go outside, like, touch water, have the sun touch you. That's my alpha for the weekend, is like, we're back, so take a moment and, like, you know, like, just be grateful that we get to be early.
Yeah, go touch grass and enjoy. What's up, Tammy? Me and Dammy. I keep on calling you guys Dammy and Tal. What's up, Dammy?
People do combine Dave and my name like that sometimes. So to hear you say that, that's normal for me to hear that Dammy statement. But I've been busy. I feel bad because even Brooke sent me a message yesterday and I messaged her back. Like I truly responded in my head to her. That's how busy I've been. And I even forgot it was Thursday yesterday. So I do that on occasion where I respond in my head and I forget to actually physically respond. But been busy, like I said last week, but I did want to let you all know that I have been putting together some things for the financial literacy spaces. So I'm probably going to do it in several parts with Brooke, and I am going to get with her and discuss that. So I think it's super important, and I think there's several different topics we can cover on that just to give people the basics and hopefully educate some people that haven't been. So that is something I've been working on. We'd like to get that going here, hopefully within the next few weeks. So hopefully you guys will find that interesting and want to tune in. But like I
So there you go. That's what I'm working on too.
Yes.
Touching grass and financial literacy with Tammy.
Right. See, you responded to me too in your head. I get it. But I want to thank all of the speakers. This was a great space today. Please go back and listen to the information that was provided by Trader Joe's or Trader Joe's. I just always do that with the grocery store, and I was just there. But really interesting information. And I just want to thank everybody. Thank all the speakers for coming up and having the interesting conversations that I feel we have every week. And thank you for all the listeners that come up as well, or come into the space as well. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Gonna chill out, relax, and catch up with some things around the house. Sorry, somebody got here. But yeah, next week we'll be back on Wednesday evening. I'm hosting a community space to highlight some of the builders and creators in Web3. And then Friday we'll be back with another episode of Crypto and Coffee. We'll have lala.xyz on. So looking forward to that. Like Tammy said, thank you to all the speakers and to all the listeners. Sorry, guys, I see you guys here with your hands up, but I do got to wrap it up and appreciate you guys coming and contributing to the conversation every week. In case you missed it, make sure to go back and play it back. We talked with Trader Joe, great team, and make sure to check it out. So thanks, everybody, and have a great weekend, and I'll catch you around the timeline.
Later, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.